What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and welcome to the place where gamers, witches, wizards, and superheroes unite. Today, I'm going to be going over my predictions for the Call of Duty League Super Week. What is the Super Week, you may ask? It is a week starting February 22nd, 2021 through February 28th, where there are CDL games on every day. Normally, the CDL has weekend games from week 1, week 2, and week 3 before a major. However, week 2 was postponed due to the inclement weather in Texas. A lot of players are experiencing outages, so they pushed these games back into week 3, and now it is a super week. Let's talk about my predictions. Just a reminder that if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more CDL content. And I do a bunch of video games, Call of Duty videos and other video games, so check those out as well. Without further ado, let's talk about the first set of games on Monday, February 22nd, which is tomorrow if you're watching it on Sunday, February 21st. First game at noon Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the Florida Mutineers against the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Florida is coming off a loss to Toronto Ultra in week 1. The Guerrillas are coming off a week where they went 1-1. Their win was against Paris Legion. Their loss was to Atlanta FaZe. Florida is going to be looking to bounce back. They are in the Division of Death, where they have Toronto, Optic, Atlanta. They have a lot of competition to come into one of those top 3 slots that every team is coveting. So they need to get a bounce back win. The Guerrillas did show a little bit of grit beating Paris. However, I don't think Paris is a very good team. I think Toronto is definitely a better team than Paris. Florida didn't do extremely well against Toronto, however. They are going to be looking to bounce back, and I think they have the talent to do so and beat the Guerrillas. I think they're going to take the game 3-1. The second game on February 22nd is going to be a close one. February 22nd, Atlanta FaZe versus Toronto Ultra. Toronto was able to upset FaZe a few times last season. They have upset potential where they can upset the top dogs. I think this is going to be a close game. Atlanta FaZe are the powerhouses in the league, or one of the top dogs in the league. Toronto is one of those sleeper teams that can upset the top dogs at any moment. I think this is going to be a close game. FaZe is coming off a week 1 where they went 2-0. They were able to defeat Optic and the Guerrillas. Toronto is coming off of a nice win against the Mutineers. Toronto and FaZe are both going to be riding highs, both undefeated currently. And I think they're going to go back and forth. I think this is going to be a close series. But I think FaZe is going to edge out Toronto. If you remember last season in Game 5s, I forget their record, but FaZe was like 9-3 or something. They were ice in Game 5s. They were ice in a Game 5 against Optic in week 1. I think they're going to be able to ice it up again in a Game 5 against Toronto Ultra. So I'm having FaZe take this one 3-2. In our next day, Tuesday, February 23rd, we have 3 games. Florida is playing again, and this time they are taking on the Paris Legion. Paris Legion are coming off an unfortunate week where they lost twice. They lost to Chicago Optic, or Optic Chicago, however you want to say it, and they lost to the LA Guerrillas. They're going to be looking to bounce back. They are in the Division of Death, where I'm not sure they're going to be able to bounce back in this one. Again, the Mutineers are a talented team. The Legion are a bunch of players who are trying to prove themselves. You have Scraps, you have Aqua, you have Classic. They're trying to get a win. I don't think they're going to do it here. I think the Mutineers are going to be able to take it 3-1. The next game is actually an interesting game. You have the London Royal Ravens coming off a loss to the Seattle Surge, where they lost 3-2. You have the New York Subliners coming off a loss to the LA Thieves 3-0. However, even though it was a 3-0, the Subliners were extremely close in all 3 of those games. The hard point came down to, I think it was 9 points the Subliners lost on the hard point. The S&D was 1 game. It came down to a game 11. And the control was 1 game. It came down to that last game 5. The Royal Ravens, they didn't face an extremely strong Seattle Surge team and ended up losing. Now, do remember, Parasite currently is playing for the Royal Ravens. He's filling in for Zero, and he didn't have a lot of practice time with the team at that point. Now that a few weeks have gone on, he's gotten more settled in. He's gotten more acclimatized to the team. Perhaps they're looking to play a little bit better. The Subliners, a very young team, made a bunch of mistakes against LA Thieves and could have potentially beat the LA Thieves 3-0 if they cleaned up some of those mistakes. I think this is going to be a close game with the Royal Ravens getting a little bit better, but the Subliners just edging them out 3-2. This is a crucial game for this division as these 2 teams are both 0-1. They want to fight for one of those top 3 slots, but at least that number 4 slot so they can get that first round bye in the loser's bracket. The next game is the Rocker against the Surge. And the Rocker are coming off an amazing upset where they beat the Empire 3-2. In week 1, they also lost to the Thieves. Seattle Surge were 1-1. I did mention they just beat the Royal Ravens in week 1. They also lost to the Empire. So you have a team in the Rocker who beat the Empire. You have the Surge who lost to the Empire. And they kind of got their butts handed to them against the Empire. I think the Rocker are going to be able to take care of business. They have a very strong team. A couple of players who played on FaZe last season. And a couple of players who played on the Subliners last season. And they've been doing pretty well. Their hard point has been an issue, though. I'm not saying that the Surge are going to beat them on a hard point. I'm just saying that be wary that this game could end up as a 3-1 or even a 3-2 if the Rocker aren't able to clean up that hard point. Again, the Rocker are very good at S&D, so I'm not worried about that for the Rocker. But their hard point, they have not won one yet. They've been 100-point clubbed. So just be on the lookout for that. I do think in this one, though, the Rocker are going to finally get a hard point win and are going to take this series 3-0 because Seattle just against Empire didn't look good in the hard point. Now, again, they were able to do some things against the Royal Ravens, but the Royal Ravens, one of the bottom teams in the league right now, and had Parasite, who didn't have a lot of practice with the team. Now let's move on to Wednesday, February 24th, where the first 2 games, I think, are going to end up being blowouts. You have the Dallas Empire, who I just said are coming off of a loss to the Rocker. They did also get a win against the Surge in that first week, so they're 1-1. They're looking to bounce back against the Royal Ravens. I don't think they're going to have an issue doing that. The Empire are one of the top teams in the league. The Royal Ravens right now, one of the bottom teams. I think it's going to be an easy 3-0 for the Empire. Again, another top team, LA Thieves, who were able to finish 2-0 in week 1. They were able to beat the Rocker, and they were able to beat... Who were they able to beat? The other game that they won, I forget. Oh yeah, I just talked about it. The Subliners. They were able to beat the Subliners and the Rocker, and they're looking pretty good. They beat a good Rocker team 3-1. They were able to 100-point club the Rocker inside of the hard point. So I don't think the Thieves are going to have many issues. They've been showing themselves as a very good hard point team. Seattle got a 100-point club by Dallas in a hard point. So I think the Thieves are going to be able to take this 3-0. No issue for the Thieves. Then our next game. This is a huge game and a prediction that a lot of people aren't going to like. I know a lot of Optic fans out there. That team has a huge following. But I mentioned this earlier. Toronto's a good team. Toronto upset FaZe a couple times last season. They upset Chicago last season. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for Toronto to win both of the Optic and FaZe games. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to win one and lose one. I have Toronto beating Chicago here. For Chicago fans, you're hoping that in this time off, they were able to clean up the search and destroy that was absolutely atrocious against FaZe. I'm not sure that they've been able to do that. I think Toronto is going to come in. I think they're going to lose the first hardpoint, win the second search and destroy, and then take one of the next two respawns, send it to a game 5 where Chicago's search and destroy woes are going to continue. So this is my upset pick of this week. Be on the lookout for Toronto to beat Optic 3-2. Now on our next day, our Thursday, February 25th, we have 3 games again, where our first game, the Rocker against the Subliners. The Subliners are a decent team, but right now, from what I saw in week 1, they just make 2 mistakes. Minnesota is a veteran team. They're going to be able to capitalize on those mistakes. I think the Subliners are going to be able to take maybe the first hard point. They'll go up 1-0. Then I think the Rocker are going to figure it out and be able to take the next 3 games, search and destroy control, and the second hard point to beat the Subliners 3-1. Optic looking to bounce back from that loss against the Ultra that I'm predicting that they're going to have. They're not going to have a problem against the Gorillas. They're going to win 3-0 and get themselves back on that right track. Then a great game. The Mutineers, a team that has upset FaZe in the past. They've upset Optic in the past. Although they did lose to Toronto, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to upset either of the top dogs here. I think that FaZe is going to end up beating the Mutineers 3-1. I'm still curious as to how Neptune evolves. Again, a young rookie player who's prone to making some mistakes. And when you make those mistakes against a team like the FaZe, they're going to pounce on them. So I think FaZe is going to win 3-1 here. Now moving on to the weekend games, let's talk about Friday. We've talked about the Royal Ravens. We've talked about the Thieves. The Thieves are a very good team looking for that top slot. I have the Thieves taking the Royal Ravens 3-0. The Royal Ravens are going to try to play themselves out of the bottom, but I don't see them doing that here. The next game, Ultra against the Legion. I've talked about the Ultra, how good they can be. I think they're going to do very well in this bracket, and I think they might be able to secure themselves a top 3 slot with FaZe and Optic. Legion, one of the bottom teams, looking to get a win, but not going to do it here against the Ultra. They go down 3-1. Then a game where this is going to be kind of interesting. Dallas completely decimated the Subliners in the CDL kickoff weekend. But the Subliners didn't have a lot of practice under their belt at that point. Diamond Khan got thrown into the starting lineup because Zuma unfortunately had to retire. But they've bounced back. They did lose to the Thieves, but they did a little bit better in that game. And watch as this week progresses to see how well they can do. But a team like Dallas is going to capitalize on those little mistakes. We saw Dallas lose to the Rocker, but the Rocker is a vet team. They have Major Maniac, Priesta, Attach, and Accuracy, all veteran players who can capitalize on mistakes. And that's what the Rocker did against Dallas. But Dallas is a more seasoned team than the Subliners are. So I think Dallas is going to be able to take the Subliners 3-0 and do exactly what the Thieves did and capitalize on the mistakes that the Subliners are prone to make. We have another game that is probably going to be a pretty easy game for one of the top dogs. We have FaZe against Legion on Saturday, February 27th, where I think FaZe is going to have no problem 3-0ing Paris Legion, kind of like Chicago was able to do against the Legion. Then our matinee game, we have Minnesota against London. Another tale of a top dog against a bottom team. I don't think Rocker are going to have any problem 3-0ing the Ravens. Then The last game on this Saturday, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're going to have many exciting games, at least not in my opinion. We have Toronto against the Gorillas. I think Toronto's not going to have too much of an issue. The Gorillas are probably going to take a game, maybe the search and destroy, where Toronto is going to win 3-1. The last day is very interesting. It has a lot of implications in the league and for the final standings. The Subliners against the Surge. These two teams could potentially be fighting for a 3 slot. They could potentially be fighting for a number 4 slot. And whoever wins this game may end up getting in that 3 or 4 slot. Probably not 3, because you have to overcome one of either the Thieves, the Rocker, or the Empire. But these two could be fighting for that 4 slot, that first round bye in the loser's bracket. I think the Subliners are going to take it. I know they're prone to making mistakes, but they are a talented team. Surge has some talent, but they do have players that can get in their own head a little bit. They have players who sometimes are hot and cold, and so I worry about that. They are a vet team, but I worry about how hot and cold this team can get. So I think the Subliners are going to take this 3-2. Then you have another game that probably has some pretty big implications. Chicago and Florida may both be fighting for a top 3 slot at this moment. It really depends on how their games play out. But if Optic loses to Toronto, if Florida is able to win every game except the one against FaZe, these two teams are going to be fighting for that number 3 slot. I think Chicago is going to clutch up and take it. I think the Mutineers are going to take that search and destroy. I'm still not convinced Optic is very good at search and destroy right now. But don't fear if you're an Optic fan. Once snipers and smokes get fixed, Dashy is godlike with a sniper. And you have Formal, who can also wield a sniper pretty well. So one of those two is going to pull out a sniper, and it's going to be much better search and destroy wise. But right now, without snipers, not only is it boring, but I think Optic is at a little bit of a disadvantage. You did see a couple of players not do well. They'll do better and whatnot, but I still think that their search and destroy needs work. But Optic will clutch up here, take that 3 slot, and take the Mutineers 3-1. This is another game that has huge implications. If everything plays out as I've predicted, this game is going to be a fight for the number 1 slot. Actually, it's going to be a fight for number 1, 2, and 3. Because at this point, if everything plays out as I predicted, then the Empire will be going into this game with 1 loss. The Thieves will be going into this game undefeated. And the Rocker will actually be going into this game with 1 loss. So this is a huge game and will determine the 1, 2, and 3 slots for Division A. If the Empire wins, I didn't calculate how many matches I've predicted, but if the Empire wins, it will be a 3-way tie for number 1, and it'll come down to what their match percentage is. I don't know who will take it at that point, but it'll be very interesting to see, because the Rocker have a chance to become number 1. The Thieves would have a chance of becoming number 1, and the Empire would have a chance of becoming number 1 if there is that 3-way tie with these 3 teams having only 1 loss. So this is a very interesting game, one that I'm going to keep my eye on. I do think the Empire are going to clutch up and take the Thieves 3-2. So let me know in the comments section what you think about my predictions. What are your predictions? Do you have an upset pick? Or do you not think the Ultra have that upset potential like I do? Thank y'all for tuning in again. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel for more Call of Duty League content and Call of Duty videos. Well, until next time, peace.